Hey, welcome in to the House of L podcast. I'm Laurence Holmes. Thank you so much for hanging out. We are brought to you by Remy Martin. Team up with excellence. If you haven't checked out the special Chicago VSOP, I think you really should because it's excellent. I hope you're well. I hope you slept good. There's been a lot of conversation about what the Bears did last night. If you missed my reaction episode, it is available. You can just go check it. If you're new here, thank you. We appreciate you. Please subscribe. It doesn't cost anything. And if you're listening on our audio platforms, thank you very much. If you're listening on Spotify or on Apple, we love everything that everyone over there does. Give us a 5-star review. It helps. As weird as it sounds, it matters with placement and how easily people can check out what we're doing on House of L. We are going to have a WrestleMania React pod from our guy Chris Lopez. That'll be up on audio only because we're going to spend a lot of time this weekend doing Bear stuff on the YouTube page. If you haven't come over to the YouTube page, come on over and subscribe. All right, so everyone reacted in the moment. I'm hoping that a good night's sleep might help change some of the hearts and minds. And let me speak on this for a second. I am not here to tell you that Colston Loveland is going to work, although I believe that he's going to work. I understand what happens during these times when you hear trusted voices tell you that a team is going to do one thing and then that team does something different. It's part of the reason that I always talk about the concept of lying season, because most of this stuff is done to try and throw people off the trail. For example, what did we hear in the last couple of days about the Bears? We heard, well, sources are in. Don't be surprised if they trade up and get Ashton Genty, right? That Jacksonville wants to trade down. So it's a perfect match. Meanwhile, Jacksonville had been working for 2 weeks on moving up so that they could get Travis Hunter. It's lying season, and it's one of the things that I have not come up with a good solution for in our industry. People tell you things, and sometimes they tell you things so that you can tell people what it is. And you have to choose. Do you want to be part of the news cycle? And some people do. We traffic in clicks, we traffic in attention. And I don't think that that's necessarily a negative thing. You want people to hear or see or read whatever it is that you do. But I think sometimes it puts the consumer, or in this case, the fan, at a disadvantage because you believe you're getting one thing and then you have to pivot. And sometimes I think those feelings get in the way. I think there were a lot of Bears fans, at least from what I'm seeing in the comments on YouTube and what I'm seeing in Twitter, what I see in the Scores Twitter comments, a lot of you all thought you were getting Tyler Warren. And Tyler Warren, I think, is going to be a really good player. But I think people kind of were set in, this is the player that the Bears are getting. And I'm excited about that player because everyone told me that that's the player that they're going to get. Sometimes the information that you get helps to prepare you for what's getting ready to happen. I'll let you in behind the curtain a little bit. Someone that I trust mentioned to me after hearing the show, had said, "You spending a lot of time talking about Tyler Warren. Why are you not talking about Colston Loveland?" And I said, "Well, I figured Loveland would be a little bit later on in the draft. And if the Bears were to trade down, I imagine if Warren's gone, that's the guy that they will go after." And this person just kind of went, That was enough for me to start doing a deep dive on Colston Loveland. Now, I'm not sure if Banks had been there at 10, if the Bears would have picked him. Because you know that I like the idea of them getting a tackle. But once I started to go down the rabbit hole on Colston Loveland, I said, oh, I see what this person is kind of hinting at. And so I did the work, and you start looking, you go, this could fit for what he wants to do. The first draft pick of a coach is really important. Ben Johnson actually spoke about that when he was on the phone with Colston Loveland. I want to read a couple of quotes for you from Loveland himself. This is what he said about there being some similarity to Sam Laporta, which obviously Johnson coached in Detroit and has had really great success over the first 3 seasons of his career. Loveland said, "That's what he told me after the meeting. I told him who are some of my favorite tight ends to watch. I mentioned a couple. I put Laporta's name in there. Shout out to him too. Heck of a player. But Coach Johnson, he's like, yeah, you remind me a lot of him. We obviously do a lot of things with Laporta. I can see you doing a lot of those things as well. That was pretty cool to hear. Now seeing it come full circle, I'm excited. He's great. He's going to do great for Chicago." Close quote. The way that this works in the way that I'm looking at it is that Loveland will create matchup problems, because ideally you're also creating matchup problems with DJ Moore on one side and Roma Dunze on the other. If you go and look at the different types of ways that they lined up Loveland at Michigan, you can see that you can create mismatches with him. And similarly with Tyler Warren, if you wanted to, although I think Warren is a little bit more, I don't want to paint him as a bruiser because he's super athletic too. But when you watch the way that Loveland runs routes, he's got the good feet, man. He's got the wide receiver thing in the bigger body. But there's a couple of times I saw Michigan do this, and just visualize this, or you can go and look for yourself. Imagine a setup where it's Rome, Komet on the line of scrimmage, and DJ Moore. Okay. Now imagine that in the backfield, lined up as an H-back, not like a traditional fullback in the eye, but kind of offset or in motion, Colston Loveland, whether you want to bring him to Komet's side, which would be the strong side in that formation, or you want to motion him away from that. Look at the choices that the defenders now have to make on what type of coverage you're going to run. Because it doesn't have to be Rome streaking down the field to try and take the top off of a defense. It could actually be Loveland who does that. And let's say that you're content with covering Loveland with a linebacker, you're probably going to lose. It's all part of chess, of the chess of the pieces. And I think that had they wanted Tyler Warren, I think that, or let's say that someone else felt the same way about Loveland and they picked him, the Saints picked him at 9, or the Colts moved up to pick him at 9. The Bears I think could do similar matchup problems with Warren. I just think that Loveland's got more potential to be a factor down the field in a way that Warren can't. I do think between the 20s, the players are fairly similar. Not the same, but fairly similar. I also think in goal line, Tyler Warren is a really interesting player because of the different things you can do in short yardage situations with him. And I don't know if they can do that type of stuff with Loveland, but I'm excited to see what they try. All I'm trying to say to you is I know that you were promised one thing, that it seemed like the consensus was that they were going to go one way and they went another. That was by design, is what I'm telling you. That's why whenever we get to draft season, even on the next couple of days, remember that it's lying season. Just remember that. And some of this stuff won't feel as foreign to you. This kid's got some personality. He's got some talent. And I think it's a super interesting pick. And it gives you an idea of how much power Ben Johnson actually has in that building. And now we'll see what they do with the rest of their picks on rounds 2 and 3. And I'll have stuff for you after that's done too, just some of my initial reaction to it. But remember that it's lying season. Even with Shador. Oh, well, he'll never get past Pittsburgh at 21. And there's reasons for that. And maybe when the draft's over, I'll do a whole episode on that. But I know it's not the player that the consensus told you that it was going to be. It doesn't mean that it's a bad player. And in fact, I think this is a really smart move by the Bears, and I'm looking forward to seeing how it works. Please subscribe to the pod if you're watching on YouTube. If you are listening on Apple or Spotify, thank you for the support. 5-star reviews. Let's do this thing. I'll talk to you after the second and third round is done. All right? All right. Peace.